how I feel about it. It's like
I think like that's the whole thing. Like we don't really have a lot of choice in the matter, you know. I do believe that, you know, have you noticed that there's been an increasing amount of content put out where something happens where the human race is tested to get into like the intergalactic federation, you know. I think originally I saw it on South Park, but I've seen it on quite a few shows since then. And, you know, I'm a big believer in predictive programming as well. So I do think that it's very odd that we've had an increase in this. Like maybe we got our chance and our government just miffed us hard.
Yes. Yeah, probably. I read some really cool like fictional books which are touted to be nonfiction. You know what I mean? They're like, we're telling you this as a story so that the CIA doesn't come kill me, you know? And, you know, you got to take these things with a grain of salt. But the book was just like balls to the walls, just brinksmanship. You know what I mean by brinksmanship? Brinksmanship comes from being on the brink of war. And brinksmanship is, it's like gambling and anteing up and putting more and more chips up over and over and over again. And what you're trying to do, and this all came out of the Cold War with like mutually assured self-destruction with nuclear weapons and such. So the idea is to like convince the other guy that you're going to do it. It's like the simplest way to describe it would be like a Russian dude and an American dude like stand over the button and be like, I'll do it. I'll fucking do it.
Yeah.
Staring each other in the eyes. That's brinksmanship. You know what I mean? And and this the main character.
But it would when really behind it, nobody wants to go that far anyways.
Right. Yeah. But the main character in the movie, he's constantly like anteing up. He's like all or nothing. It's just like tell me the whole story or tell me nothing at all, you know, or I'm leaving. And this guy's he's like a smart mathematician, and he's trying to like figure out these equations. And he publishes this equation, and then the government's like, hey, we're going to give you an honorary PhD, but nobody can know about these equations. He slowly gets more and more into this organization, which is like, they call it the group. And he ends up heading the group. And like, in the end of the last book, I don't want to spoil it all for you, but, you know, there's always like this beautiful woman that he meets and falls in love with. And then, if you want to get in further, we're going to like wipe the mind of your family, and they're going to go off, and your best friend's going to marry this person that you were going to marry. And he, you know, keeps sacrificing his life to like get more and more into this organization. And slowly gets let in on more and more of the secrets of like the secret history of humans and aliens kind of thing. And eventually they end up developing a teleportation device. But what like most 90% of the people don't know is that the teleportation device is also like a time travel device. At the end of the last book, he teleports himself to like the bridge of the alien vessel. You know, he's got this smartwatch that can, you know, communicate with people across space and time, and he like all the ships show up, right? All their like, because they've got like a space fleet that defends the solar system, but it's like nothing compared to these guys. It's pretty much just like a Hail Mary. Let's give Earth a few seconds to like escape or something, right? So he teleports to the top of the ship, and he like blows some guy's head off with a magnum, and then he like tells somebody something through his watch, and then like these laser guns like teleport out of nowhere and like destroy a bunch of ships, and pretty much like tells the aliens to kick rocks after like, because he's been in and out of this organization, and he finds out about all this crazy experimentation. Like they had their own like bottom 4 levels of a secret underground base, and they were like pretty much just using humans as food, and he tells them to go away.
Whoa! What show is that?
Tells them that we can hold our own, kind of thing. This is a book called The Sands of Time.
A book called The Sands of Time. I'm gonna have to check that out. That sounds really intense.
Yeah, it is intense.
Yeah.
And it's so fanciful, like it's so balls to the walls in your face. Like I keep saying balls to the walls, but like what are the words I'm really trying to use here? It's There
was intense. Balls on the wall.
Yeah, it's like direct contact. Yeah. It's like too in your face, too much bravado, you know? But I guess in that, if you are climbing some kind of secret agency, that's one of the conspiracy theories. Like Julian and I talked about the conspiracy theories, like 9/11 and stuff. I think even you and I were kind of on the like pro conspiracy page, and I shared with him this documentary, and it just like it outlines all the incongruities with the official story, but it doesn't even like touch the conspiracy. It doesn't like question the Bushes or anyone like that. It does question the owner of the World Trade Center because he like bought them a few years before and then or a few like shortly before they went down, and they had like billions of dollars of work of asbestos removal that had to be done. They like couldn't be destroyed without like many billions of dollar price tags. So and then he took out
it was worth it to go down.
A huge insurance policy that just covered complete destruction. And another one of the weird things that's like never explained is that there was like molten steel going on underneath like the where they had fallen down.
Yeah,
for, like,
there's a lot of bees in the beehive that is this planet, right?
Right.
So I think that there's like, just like how we were saying with God, like there's space for everything in a weird way.
Yeah.
You know, and our collective consciousness is just murky AF. So I just feel like it kind of like, I see the logic in a lot of things on both sides, right? 9/11, I think was, you know, I don't know, watch Zeitgeist.
Right. And it's like, what are these levels of compartmentalization? Yes, Zeitgeist, exactly. Of where, and it's like, I'm going to try to tie another like Venn diagram of like two worlds that are supposedly separate that meet. And it's like the layers of conspiracy and whatnot. You've got the people who just see like corruption in the government and they're like, oh, it's the government's fault. You know, there's a bunch of humans that are like, because my brother's like, oh, you think there's one? My brother's like, you think there's one group of people that are trying to control the world? It's like, no, there's many groups of people trying to control the world.
Yeah.
And then some of those groups are consciously or unconsciously influenced by alien races or just like made up of alien races. So that's like,
or maybe they are alien races.
Two like tiers of conspiracy world. There's like human conspiracy world, and then like human plus conspiracy world. And you know, they those two can't communicate the same way. Like, you know, certain Christian sects are just like two opposite each other's beliefs, right? Yeah,
100%. Yeah. It's always super awkward to have sex in a Christian church, for sure. No, 100%. I think it's such a wide thing. That was kind of one of the things that I found a little frustrating when we were talking to Julian that day, because I was like, I don't think, like, there's probably a group out there that thinks that they're those people, but there's probably lots of different people, and all of those people are connected to different people for different reasons, because they came from families, and they have, you know, like, we're all part of this, like, moving network, right? And, you know, just like I don't think, you know, people are good or bad, right? I think that you make a series of decisions in in a time linear order in the fashion that we are in, right? And, you know, you're either tipping the scale one way or the other, you know, and depending on how far you want to take it in either direction, right? So, you know, that's why there's so many people who, like, have come out and they're like, you know, I was kind of part of the in crowd, and, you know, there's some scary stuff going on down there, right? Like, you know, you got to take people at face value. There's very, like, respected, like, officials and military people that have come out, and there's, like, you know, there's some wild stories from ex-military that have come out, right?
Yeah, so, I think it was a Canadian general that came out and said, like, by the way, UFOs are real.
This is going down, yeah. Yeah, exactly, right? And now it's becoming so mainstream, right? That, you know, but I've just always felt this way. I mean, I saw a massive spaceship when I was a kid. And it was before I started doing drugs or drinking or anything like that. And I'll never forget it. I still have the diary that I, like, wrote it down in, and I saw it with this girl that I was friends with. And actually, whenever I see her, I'm like, you remember that time? And she's like, yeah, I remember it. But so I don't know. So I think I just kind of, like, you know, since I was 10, like, I just knew that there was stuff. I knew that it wasn't for the way that the ship moved and, like, how big it was. It had all these, like, spinning lights on it and stuff, and it came up, and it was like, it must have been, like, it would have been huge, like, you know, the size of a football field, right? But it was so high up in the sky that it was still, like, only maybe, like, I don't know, to my perspective, like, it looked about a foot across in the sky, but it was just that big, and it, like, came in really fast, and it just sat there. And I remember,
what was the shape?
Just thinking to myself, I'm supposed to be seeing this. I'm supposed to be seeing this. I'm supposed to be seeing this. And then it, like, zipped in a weird kind of, like, zigzag pattern, and then it just shot off, and it was gone.
Yeah.
And we both talked about it and thought it was crazy, and I ran inside and wrote the date and the time down in my diary, because I remember thinking this is a really big deal, right? And I have that written to go back to. And I don't know. That was good enough for me. Like, you know, everything else that's going on for people, and lots of people have experiences like that too, and explain it away.
Yeah.
But
when you say you were thinking, I'm supposed to be seeing this, so I've read a bunch of Dolores Cannon's work. You want to go down?
I was going to ask you.
Oh,
That's literally going to be my next question for you.
Yeah. And one of the things that you learn studying these subjects is that a lot of them are telepathic. Literal language isn't used, sounds and stuff. So the thought of I'm supposed to be seeing this could have been, in my mind, I was like, that was probably a telepathic communication, because the same way you had the opportunity to see it, people around you someone could have been standing like 5 feet beside you and not seen it, because
I had somebody with me who did see it, though.
I know, but I'm saying the opposite could have happened, because it's like a perception filter. They choose, like, if you saw it, it's like you were meant to see it, because it was their intention for you to see it, and they like let down the cloak for your mind specifically, so you could have that experience.
100%, yeah, I think so. Like, I would completely agree with that. I remember that so clearly too, right? The thoughts ringing inside my head. I remember that very, very clearly. I remember that. I'm like getting goosebumps thinking about it, actually. But yeah, so I mean, like, as you said before, like, about accepting everyone's perspectives, it's the same thing, right? Like, you know, if we all really are one and we want to be that unity, then we have to have space for the people that can't see, because they haven't had the veil lifted in certain areas, right? In their subconscious and on and on. So,
and they're not supposed to either. Like, the veil is like, it's literally like the fabric of reality, if we want to stick with the metaphor. And that if you understand, if you peel the lid off the mystery of life and death, then life loses some of its mystery, right? Because that's the magic of this experience. Like, there's other lifetimes where it's just like your soul is back in your body at like 3 years old and you're speaking in full sentences, whereas we're like fully cut off from our soul. We all have our different philosophies for what's actually real and what's immortal and what's not. But like,
and who knows how many times you've been in these human bodies just confused.
Right. It's like the best and the worst. It's the best because it's the worst, you know? It's this weird paradox of reality. Yeah.
I think it's got to be like, I don't know, our souls have to just be like sickos somewhere, being like, like, give me some more of that earth, you know? Or like, maybe, like, I know Dolores Cannon actually has something where she said it's like, when you come here, when you start this like soul cycle in these meat sacks, that you, like, once you agree to come here, you're here until you're finished.
Right.
Like, and it's still like your soul loves to be here, right? And you gain so much wisdom from all this BS. But you know what I mean? Like, and that's like, there's like so much of a, like it's like increases like our soul's wisdom and knowledge so much. But apparently, like, when you come here, like, you're checked in until it's time to check out. And there's like, you could literally like kill yourself as soon as you could in every life, and you just keep coming back. Like,
and that's a funny, like,
step
people
forward
think
into
about,
whatever's
especially coming. Like the Christians who don't want to believe in reincarnation, because their mythology or their theology hinges on like a finite afterlife, right? But
it's hard to control people if they think they have more chances.
You think it's terrifying. Oh, it's terrifying that I can burn forever in hell, or it's or even terrifying that I could just be nothingness, right? I could stop existing. It's like, well, you could be
the thought of anything.
It's like that could be like, just as bad of a curse as nothing at all would be everything, you know?
Convincing us that there's the end of anything, right? Of course that's going to be terrifying, because it runs so differently from what our souls know. So like, that is the best way to motivate someone with fear, right? Is to actually convince them that there's going to be an end, or an eternity that's pain, right? Something that all human meat sacks understand.
Right.
But, you know, I mean, I do think that that's why it's like important to just like keep being kind and moving forward, because if you're able to get there, like in your mind, and like have those beliefs and stuff, like, you're so far ahead of the game. You get it. You're one of the kindest people I know. For the most part, you're just like, you know, you're ultra that. I'm trying to learn it. I've been freaking out less as I get older, you know, but it's important, and it's important to be kind to yourself, right? First, and then everyone else. And then everything should kind of just like fall into line. I don't know, you might still get serial killed or someone will blow up your town.
Just some
but,
karma from
you
like
know.
20,000 lifetimes ago. You're like, oh, I killed that guy way back then. Shit, sorry,
Yeah,
dude.
fuck, I was Hitler. Yeah. You know?